So welcome back to my channel. This is Dom and another package has arrived from Warlords. So I think I know exactly what this is. So let's have a look. Right, let's see what this contains. One-handed opening, nightmare. There we go. Filling. So in here we have the campaign book, Marianas and Palau Islands, plus my first American bolt action troops. Never bothered doing Americans, never had much interest in doing them, but I thought, well, maybe for a change, or maybe I'll just sell the box, because you got it half price if you bought this book, so seemed like a no-brainer really. So box of Marines, 30 hard plastic miniatures, which is good. You also get special character, which is Cappy Devil Dog, who looks fantastic. That looks really wicked. Have a look at that in a minute. And I also bought the tribute figure they were doing for Captain what's his face, NHS tribute. He raised all the money walking around the gardens, and he's 100 years old now. So I thought I'd get that. It's all proceeds for that go to the NHS in the UK, which is great. But this is what we really wanted to see. Here we go. The new bolt action campaign book. Marianas and Palau Islands. No idea if that's how you pronounce it, but that's how I'm going to pronounce it. It's a usual high quality book that Warlords produce nowadays. What is this book? Well, it's a campaign book, mate. So it covers the island hopping campaign when the Allies, the Americans, were trying to recapture Pacific Islands. Basically 1944 onwards, I believe. Yeah, it says historic battles that took place during 1944 in the Pacific Theatre, specifically those in the island hopping campaign of Marianas and Palau Islands. The scenarios detailed based on real-life battles, and each describes the events that occurred, informed by considerable historical research. The book also contains the relevant force selectors, units, and rules specific to the Marianas and Palau campaigns. However, to play these rules, you will need the bolt action rules. Of course, you will. So there you go. That's what we got. Usual thing. I mean, just lovely images. Some nice pictures of models. Beach landing. So how many, let's have a look at the index. So here we go, we've got Island Hopping Campaign, which has beach landings, counterattack, stronghold assaults, that sort of thing. Then there's the Marianas campaign itself. Battle of Saipan. There's 7 scenarios in that one. Then there's Guam, has another 5 scenarios. Then the Tinian, I probably mispronounce all these. There's 1 scenario there. Operation Stalemate 2 overview. And another 7 scenarios there. Another scenario there at the end. Plenty of scenarios here. In terms of extra units, new units, you've got new Japanese squads, artillery and trucks. You've got new US as well, different equipment. Improvised side armor, that's nice. That'd be sandbags and stuff shoved on the side. You got E4 to 5 flamethrower mechanized. You got the 37mm M2 canister round, and you got rifle grenades. Nice. Special rules around ammo caches, amphibious assaults, barbed wire, digging in, exhaustion, fortifications, Japanese infiltration, mud, monsoon season, minefields, and tropical hazards. Basically, everything you need to put some flavour and character around this particular theatre of war, which I always love with these books. Now, they get in trouble sometimes because people try and play out of period battles in competitions and stuff, so they'll take an army list designed for a specific period like this and try and compete against other people with another army list that's from another book, and that doesn't work as well. These really do work best when you play separately. So here's these set up for beach landings, but I guess you could use that for D-Day or North Italy, or even South Italy into Tunisia as well. They give you rules for prepared defences, shallow water, preliminary bombardments, pre-registered fires, that sort of thing, which is nice. Counter-attack, scenarios for that, advance, different scenario for that. Stronghold assault is nice, that's interesting. Got bunkers and trenches in that, and minefields. What does a bunker do? When using the stronghold option, the defending player gets 3 bunkers to place in their deployment zone. Additionally, the defender gets 1 additional bunker for every full 500 points of the defender's force. For example, if the defender builds their force from 1,000 points, they get to place 5 bunkers. Wow, they're pretty strong. It's the first operation here, Operation Forager. Again, they're really well done, these books. They give you a nice, they give you a lot of eye candy around the pictures of nicely painted models. They give you a bit of the history and background to it, maps, and then of course the scenarios. So here you go, D-Day in Saipan. So this gives you, first scenario is basically the Marines have to come ashore. Using the beach landing rules, of course. Gives you the aftermath, so it tells you what historically happened in that one. Then there's the counter-attack by the Japanese. So that actually appears to have Japanese tanks counter-attacking. They're Type 2 Kimis, amphibious tanks, outflanking the American beach. Very nice. Don't get a chance to use Japanese armour very often, probably for good reasons. So for this one you use the Imperial Japanese Army and Navy Saipan 1944 theatre list. The Japanese forces were limited to the following tanks: Type 97 Shiki Command Tank, Type 97 Chi-Ha medium tank, or Type 95 Ho-Go light tanks. There we go. Scenario 3. I won't go through every single one of these, but I just think always love to see. Look at that picture, fantastic. Even the shine. I'm getting that new book smell. Hero of the book. So Hero of the Pacific, Private Lee Captain Marvin. He apparently fought in this period, and they've given him a special character. He's got the BAR as one of his special characteristic or special weapons. So there you go. What's his specialty? So on June 18th, Company 1, 3rd Battalion, 24th Marines were moving forward towards Hill 500. Despite the fact it was starting to get dark, the officers ordered the advance to continue. US Marine nicknamed Captain Marvel looked up at the hill and thought to himself, if I live long enough, I could make it to the top. The Marine was the future actor Lee Marvin. Fantastic actor. Marvin was the point man when his buddy got hit in the chest and went down. The Marines all fired like crazy for 15 minutes, with Marvin firing his BAR one-handed while keeping pressure on Mike's chest with the other, plugging the bullet hole with his finger. In the ensuing close combat fight, Marvin took a bullet in the arse. Orderlies came to stretcher Marvin out, but the air was so thick with bullets that he elected to crawl instead, believing anyone who stuck their head up too far was going to get killed. It was a massacre. Marines were dying all around Marvin as he tried to go to a medical aid station. Eventually, Marvin made it back to Battalion HQ, but was not there before a Japanese counterattack forced the wounded to evacuate back to the beaches, where Marvin was finally taken to a hospital ship. As well as his illustrious acting career, Marvin was a veteran of the I can't even pronounce that, and the Battle of Saipan. He was buried in Arlington National Cemetery with a grave simply marked Lee Marvin, PFC, US Marine Corps, World War II. So he costs 10 extra points. He gives you. He comes with the BAR, so I guess you can put him into one of your Marine squads. He has a special rule of covering fire. One unit of US Marines may include Lee Marvin as one of their BAR gunners. When Marvin shoots with his BAR, he ignores any hit modifiers due to pin markers. However, the rest of the unit still applies them to his shooting, so could be quite fun. So let's keep going. I mean, what everyone always likes to see is what the special units are in these books. There's the Army Selector for the US Marines and the US Army in Saipan. There's a Japanese. Looks like Osprey type pictures there. Again, really nice images, some lovely historical context for those who are interested in that. So the reason why you get the special dog model with this is that war dogs were used on Guam. In the summer of 1942, the US Marine Corps decided to set up an experimental unit using canines. The war dogs were 85% Doberman Pinschers and the rest German Shepherds. Handlers were trained dog specialists and scouts. Over 350 war dogs served on Guam, of which 25 were killed and another 25 wounded. The dogs were effective for night security, allowing the Marines to catch some sleep while not on watch themselves. Early in the campaign, war dogs would bark when they sensed danger. However, they were later trained to alert their handlers silently. The war dogs also worked with the military police to guard and patrol rear areas. And when Marines found caves, the war dogs were sent in to find resistance before a scout checked out the cave. So that's why you get that model. Really impressed with the quality of the book, as always. They do such fabulous books. Look at the model there. Lovely. So there's the Guam selector lists. Love that model there. Fantastic. Beautifully painted. There's a hero of the Pacific for the Japanese, who is basically an officer. He's equivalent to a major. All units within 12 inches of him ignore the Banzai Charge national characteristic rule and ignore any negative modifiers from pin markers when taking a morale check or order test. They also become him and his squad become tough fighters. That's pretty useful. So he obviously was able to hold back his troops and not let them go Banzai charging. Let's keep going through this book. You can just see there's the Palau US Army and the Japanese Army theatre lists, sorry. So here's some special units. These are Japanese extra units. So you get Japanese infantry squads and teams. You've got the Japanese Army engineering squad as an extra unit. They have a tank hunter ability. They can have flamethrowers in their squad. And light machine gun, which is good. Then there's the light machine gun section. Oh, sorry, just machine gun section, which is an MMG, which is overmanned. So you can have a squad of, you can have an NCO and 3 men with that instead of the normal 3-man squad, it becomes a 4-man squad, which is nice. And then you can add in extra men with rifles if you want. So you can make the squad basically built around an MMG, which is kind of cool. So Overman, the MMG is restricted by the normal rules for team weapons, with the following exception. 1 man is required to fire the MMG while the other 2 act as loaders if available. Any men not loading the MMG may fire their rifles as normal. If a model carrying the MMG is destroyed, the remainder of the team will continue to operate as normal rifle-armed infantry squad without the MMG. So basically, you know, normally when you lose the MMG, that's it gone. This would still leave a unit left behind, which is kind of cool. And I guess it doesn't say so, but I guess if the loaders are killed, you can just replace them with the riflemen from the squad. You've got Naval Militia Squad. Oh, everybody loves their cheese, will like that one. They are inexperienced squad. Can have a light machine gun or anti-tank grenades, and can be tank hunters. Improvised anti-tank teams. I think we've seen these before in the other list. I'm not sure why these are new. A lone sniper, so you don't have to have a 2-man team with this. It costs 55 points, but it's a single guy. But instead of having his rifle, he can actually have a light machine gun for 10 points. Doesn't suffer the -1 for having a spotter, for not having a spotter. But he does suffer the -1 to hit with the LMG if he doesn't have the loader, which he doesn't, obviously. He has a bold attacker rule, which means Japanese lone sniper was well accustomed to working alone and tracking the fire of large numbers of enemy troops. He may ignore the effects of having 1 pin marker assigned to him. Further pin markers act as normal, so 2 counters 2 and so forth. So it could be useful. Could be useful. There's also night infiltrators. These are specialist night scouts, basically tough fighters, have forward deployment. Can be used in various of the scenarios here. You've got a very big mortar, 320mm spigot mortar. The role of it was to inflict psychological damage on American troops. Its 300-kilogram shell left a crater of 8 foot deep and 15 foot wide, but caused relatively few casualties due to fragmentation. Wow. It's only 49 points for an experienced, 70 for a regular, 5-man crew. Can have a spotter for 10 points. It's a heavy mortar classification. HE special differs from normal heavy mortar. The spigot mortar uses the 4-inch template but has a pen value of +1 and causes D6 +2 pins. So it's not very effective at killing, but boy can it give you a headache, basically. But not many points actually, that's good. 80mm coastal guns. There's a new amphibious truck. And then on the US side, we've got the chaplain. He only has a pistol, or can have a pistol if he wants. He only has self-defense, so he can't instigate any offensive or hostile activities. He's a non-combatant. Can't say that. Doesn't fight, but he has an inspiring presence. Upon receiving their order dice, except for down, a chaplain may select one friendly unit within 6 inches and roll a d6, applying the following modifiers. If he's inexperienced, -1, veteran +1. On 4+, the chaplain can remove 1 pin from the selected unit. 25 points for a regular chaplain, 30 for a veteran, 20 for inexperienced. So, pretty useful, I think. It's a cheap order dice, isn't it? But has a little bit of an advantage. We've got the US Marine Assault Squad. NCO can have a submachine gun or a shotgun instead of a rifle. Love it. So that's 3 men with rifles, 2 men with flamethrowers in that squad, which is kind of fun. We've got the US Army Assault Squad. They have satchel charges and flamethrowers. Very, very nice. Tank hunters. Then you've got a US Marine Assault Squad, which have BARs and flamethrowers. Oof. Wow. 2 men have... so it's basic. It's 1 NCO and 3 men. 2 men have rifles. 1 man has a BAR. And 1 man has a flamethrower. All have anti-tank grenades to represent satchel charges. Up to 9 additional men can be hired. So you can have 2 more with BAR, and some of them can have pistols in addition to their other equipment. So pistols, as I recall, makes them tough fighters, I believe. So that's all cool. Nice bit of Osprey imagery there. Picture of a bazooka having a go on the side of a Japanese tank. So another additional unit, US Marine Replacement Squad, all inexperienced. 33 points for a basic squad. Only 3 men. 3 men with rifles, 1 with a BAR, but then you can add in additional 9 men, 7 per figure basically. They can have shotguns too, which is nice. A US Army Veteran Infantry Squad. So what's the benefit? Here's the stats for a shotgun. 18-inch range, 1 shot, no pen, and have assault. So it basically means they don't take a minus for firing on the move, isn't it? 18 inches seems incredibly long for a shotgun. I would have thought there'd be 12, but hey. Oh well. So you can have veteran US infantry squad, tank hunters and tough fighters. I've got here 60mm T20 shoulder mortar team. Shoulder mortar gave a direct flat trajectory fire against caves and pillbox openings. So it's like a bazooka basically. Essentially it functions and duplicates those of a bazooka. Fair enough. So it's 50 points for a regular 2-man crew. It basically counts as a medium mortar. Can be fired directly or indirectly. Counts as having the bazooka special fire rule instead of indirect. So basically it's like an indirect shot, but it loops it over. I think that's how I remember it. It's a team weapon, fixed, and has a template of 2. There's the guys with their shotguns clearing a bunker. You've also got twin 20mm anti-aircraft gun. You have, oh blimey, US Marine Corps International M24 rocket truck. Bloody hell. Which has a multiple rocket launcher. I can see them being rolled out. You got the LVT-4 Ronson Mark 1 flamethrower. This was an experimental weapon developed by the Seabees at Pearl Harbor. Throws a stream of burning napalm 100 to 150 yards out. Blimey. So that has a flamethrower as its main weapon and a pintle mounted medium machine gun with 360-degree arc. Regular is 115 points, but it is open topped, but is amphibious. Armor 7. So here's some of the upgrades. So improvised side armor. So this is when they put trees and all sorts of equipment and stuff on the side. Basically, it means that anti-tank rifles and shaped charge do not get the +1 penetration for hitting in the side. Any M4A2 tank may have improvised armor for +10 points. That's actually not bad value. 10 points is not bad at all. Then there's a flamethrower, M45 flamethrower. That's a mounted flamethrower that can be mounted on various American tanks to replace the medium machine gun. 37mm M2 canister round. Contained 122 steel balls and had a maximum effective range of 150 to 200 yards. It was used by both the 37mm anti-tank guns and the M3A1 light tank gun, considered very effective against mass banzai charges. Yeah, I'm not surprised. It's like a Napoleonic canister round. Any 37mm anti-tank gun or M3A1 light tank can be equipped with the M2 canister rounds for 10 extra points. At the option of the firing player, the guns equipped with the M2 rounds may fire as normal or fire a canister shot. It has the following effect. Place 4 3-inch HE templates extended in a straight line from the barrel of the firing gun. Roll once to hit each infantry unit, artillery unit or soft-wing vehicle under any of these 3 templates, ignoring small unit and soft cover. If the unit is hit, it suffers D6 hits. Roll for damage as normal. The target unit suffers an additional D3 pins for a total of D3 plus 1. Armoured targets under the template suffer no hits or pins. Wow, that's quite effective. Against soft targets, that's really nice. Rifle grenades, they're very nice too. They can fire indirect and they have HE of 1, and you can have an adapter to fire smoke as well, costing 20 points, which is quite expensive actually, but both the Japanese and the Americans have that. Another nice image. There's ammo cache special rule. Won't go into all of these again because if you're interested you'll buy this book anyway. Amphibious assaults, deep water, shallow water, lagoons, special rules about being stuck on reefs. There's some boats, landing craft personnel, landing craft mechanized, and then barbed wire. Dug-in options, where specified in scenarios, some units may begin the game dug in. These units had time to dig their foxholes or other defensive positions. Dug-in units can also be hidden. If terrain is not available to represent foxholes, counters can be used to record it. Counters down when shot up, even if not given a down order. An additional -2 to hit, and the number of hits from HE is halved, rounded down. If the unit is also issued a down order while dug in, the benefits are doubled. Units are dug in until they leave their position. You have dug in vehicles as well. Dug in hidden setup. You can have Japanese spider hole networks. Elaborate Japanese defense positions such as those described above were referred to by US soldiers as spider holes. They're represented in bolt action with the following rules. Dug-in Japanese infantry units and teams that use advance orders can end their movements within 12 inches of a Japanese bunker, retaining their dug-in status. In addition, if the unit or team does not shoot that turn, it gains the hidden status. So basically it can pop up around the place. Wow. Dug-in versus prep bombardment. Some foxholes will provide little benefit against the effect of mass concentrated bombardment. A foxhole will not protect against direct fire from an artillery salvo. No additional protection is given. Dug-in versus tank assaults. Yeah, so that's all fun. Got exhaustion. So that's when if you fail a test, a morale check, you lose 1 soldier or crewman from the unit. Exhausted units in reserve must pass the morale check to move on to the tough table, suffer another -1 to their test, and exhausted troops must order check to carry out a run order, even if they have no pin markers. That's kind of fun. You can buy fortifications, so trenches cost 25 points for 6 inches. Weapons pits, 25 points. Log bunkers, 30. Decoy log bunkers are 0. A player may place 1 free decoy bunker for every 2 log bunkers or team weapon bunkers he buys. Cannot be entered, and it's purely there to confuse the defender. That's interesting. Tunnel network of worth 50 points. Tunnel network allows the Japanese player to secretly write down before the game begins where a single tunnel opening is on the battlefield. The location of the opening must be stated exactly in inches from a short and long table edge. An infantry unit deployed in reserve may use this tunnel to infiltrate the battlefield. The Japanese unit may travel 12 inches through the tunnel per turn. So, i.e., if the tunnel opening is 48 inches from the Japanese player's table edge, the unit may arrive on the table on turn 5. The unit entering the table via assault or run orders and can run straight into an assault. Regardless of whether the Japanese unit is charging into assault or not, enemy units within 6 inches of the secret tunnel entrance who have not been activated that turn may fire on it as it emerges from the tunnel, as if they were in ambush. Remove an order dice from the bag and place fire order next to the unit. Wow, that's kind of fun. Adds a bit of colour to the thing. Infiltrators, you've got here mud rules, monsoon, minefields. I think some of these have already been in some of the other books. Effective minefields, clearing minefields, dummy minefields, tropical hazards. And there you go, got all the reference books. So it looks to be a really good book, high quality as you would expect from Warlords. And should be very good for those of you looking to recreate some of those later war campaigns in the Pacific. So before we go, let's have a look at these figures in a bit more detail. So here we go. This is the special figure you get with the book, the Cappy Devil Dog. So as we mentioned, there's options for Dobermans basically in the American force, and this is one of those. There we go. There's a Marine holding the dog on the leash. And the dog has some fearsome teeth there. Has some seriously nasty looking teeth. Just waiting to be released into the bunker. Just crying out to be used in a diorama, isn't it? Really nice. I like the American figure actually as well. He's got sort of slightly gaunt looking face, which is rather cool. There you go, that's that. So the tribute figure is actually Captain Tom Moore. I've forgotten his name for a minute. He raised over £1 million, I think, for NHS charities during the COVID lockdown in the UK. And he was a captain in the Desert Rats, I believe. And so in honour of that, and also, let's put the figure in front, there you go. Come on. Focus, focus, focus. It's focusing on my hand rather than the figure at the moment. So in honour of Captain Moore, they have done this figure. In fact, there's two figures. Don't know where the other one's just gone. I'll have to find him in it. So here he is now, the figure. This is a special charity figure that Warlords have done. All proceeds from this are going to the NHS charity. So Captain Tom Moore, he turned 100 just the other day. He's a veteran of North Africa. I believe he was in a Grant tank in the Desert Rats. And he raised over £1 million for charities, NHS charities, during the lockdown for COVID, doing sort of charity walk around his old people's home where he lived. You know, he's on a Zimmer frame and all this sort of thing. So they did this figure, which is a nice touch. There's him with his cup of char. Standing on a pile of rocks, which is a nice touch, and here's him as a commander on his tank, so you can use him as either. All proceeds go to the charity, NHS charities around COVID, which is fantastic and a really good touch. I believe they also did a Grant tank, and I nearly got that at the same time, but I just actually don't really need a Grant tank, and I've got so much stuff already. I just didn't want to do anymore, but I want to do something just a little bit for charity. So that is that. Anyway, those are the figures. So there you go. That's my quick flip through the new campaign book for Bolt Action, the Marianne's and Palau Island book. If you're into your Bolt Action, you're into your Marines and Americans against Japanese, it's a definite must. Like all these books, really well produced, lovely imagery, some interesting new rules, and I look forward to having a go with them at some point. Hope you found it useful and interesting. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. In the meantime, stay safe, stay well, and I'll see you again soon. This is Dom, signing out.